Prepare yourself for a journey through the chilling world of horror. Tonight, we bring you not one, but 3 tales of terrifying encounters with demonic entities that will make even the bravest viewers question their courage. These real-life events, each more bone-chilling than the last, are not for the faint of heart. Brace yourself as we chronicle these stories of fear and madness in this video. Number 1. Shadow Whispers in the Old Asylum. In an isolated town lies an old, abandoned asylum, a place where the whispers of its terrible past echo in every corner. Its overriding history continues to haunt the community as tales of strange happenings and shadowy figures seep into local lore. Many locals speak of hearing terrified screams and incoherent muttering, originating from the ominous old asylum after sunset. Despite these terrifying stories, 4 adventurous teenagers chose to venture into the derelict building, eager to disprove the rumors. It was the dead of night as they cautiously arrived at the towering, forbidding structure. The demolished exterior and weather-worn windows only heightened the eerie atmosphere. To break the gloomy silence, one of them, John, spoke out. "I believe these old stories are nothing but fiction. Watch me debunk them tonight." Emboldened by skepticism, the teenagers began their exploration, each clutching flashlights that sliced through the profound darkness. The unsettling interior was plagued by an unsettling sense of abandonment and decay. Peeling wallpaper and layers of dust told the story of a place forgotten by time. Unease settled over the group as they moved deeper into the asylum. The silhouette of old, rusted hospital beds, overturned wheelchairs, and tattered straitjackets strewn across the floor were a grim reminder of the place's past. As they ventured further, inexplicable phenomena began to unnerve the bravest among them. Drawn-out whispers grew louder, and unforeseen cold spots sent chills down their spines. However, their fear escalated when they reached a room from where the whispers seemed strongest. As they apprehensively entered, the door behind them slammed shut. Chilled to the bone with terror, they tried to pry open the door, but it seemed as though an unseen force held it firmly shut. Suddenly, John saw a shadowy figure dart across the room, heard a haunting whisper in his ear, "Get out!" Panic gripped the group, their fear palpable, but it was too late. They say John's scream echoed throughout the asylum that night. Their bodies were found the next morning by the local police, the look of sheer terror still etched onto their faces, their eyes wide open in fright. The whispers from the asylum grew louder and chiller. Investigations were conducted, but no conclusive explanation was found for the tragic incident. While the adults discussed reasonable possibilities, the children whispered about the shadow that lingered in the old asylum. The horrifying entity that claimed the lives of the teenagers and its chilling message echoed through the town, turning the old asylum into a symbol of primal fear. The tales of shadow whispers in the asylum not only continued but thrived, ensuring that no one dares to step foot in the cursed building again. Number 2. The Purgatory House's Inexorable Room. In the blink of an eye, everything around Simon turned pitch black. He was standing in the middle of an old, unkempt Victorian building known to locals as the Purgatory House. It was renowned to harbor dark energy like a well-guarded secret, and rumors stated that a formidable entity lurked within. Simon was an amateur paranormal investigator and had heard stories about the house's infamous Inexorable Room. This room was said to hold an uncanny force that could stir the sturdy foundation of the house. Armed with his EMF meter and a torchlight, Simon ventured forth through the dark, threatening corridors, the eerie silence of the house only broken by his own hastening footsteps. Upon crossing a stifling dark hallway, he stumbled upon a room cloaked in an almost palpable air of unease and fear. This had to be the Inexorable Room. As he entered, the door creaked open and closed behind him with an intimidating thud. It was a fairly large room with peeling wallpapers and ancient furniture draped in white sheets. The only light in the room came through a cracked window, casting an eerie glow on an old portrait hanging on one of the walls. The portrait of what seemed like a stern woman with fiery eyes sent a chill down Simon's spine. As he approached it to study the details, his EMF meter screamed out alarmingly. Suddenly, his torch flickered and went off. Unsettling whispers started to fill the room, echoing off the rotten wooden walls, making his blood run cold. His heartbeat quickened as he tried to turn on the torch without success. The whispers grew louder and more hostile. Simon then felt a sudden force pulling him towards the center of the room. Scared out of his wits, he tried to run for the door but found himself rooted to the spot. A figure materialized before him, out of nowhere. It was the woman from the portrait, radiating an ethereal glow. Her hair was wild, her fiery eyes fixated on him. She reached out, her fingers reaching for his throat. Simon could feel an icy grip around his neck, tightening. He fought to breathe, his vision blurring, his limbs weakening. Just when he thought he was going to lose consciousness, the grip suddenly loosened. The woman from the portrait disappeared into thin air, leaving Simon gasping for breath. He stumbled towards the door, staggered out of the room, and ran aimlessly in the dark, wanting to escape the merciless grip of the Purgatory House. As he managed to escape, he turned back for one last look at the house. His heart pounded in his chest when he saw the woman staring back at him from the cracked window of the Inexorable room. Her eerie laughter echoed in the dead silence of the night, leaving Simon shattered with a chilling realization. Whatever sinister force was guarding the Purgatory House had let him live, for now. Number 3. Basement Rituals of the Voracious Entity. In the dim, musty corners of life's most feared locations, dark and voracious entities exist amid relentless rituals that seem to feed their insatiable spirit. With the sunset, a tortured echo spreads through the cold, revolting bowels of the forsaken basement, the story of evil narrating itself through ominous whispers and the sound of scratching against the rough, cracked-up walls. They were the unseen, monstrous inhabitants of the old asylum, the voracious entity of the basement. A group of 4 teenagers, their curiosity piqued by tales of the old asylum, decided to venture into the desolate structure. The basement of this unsightly structure bore the tales of otherworldly rituals that were performed under the veil of darkness. As they descended into the basement, the air became heavy, oppressive, and reeked of decay. Each step was met with an increased intensity of an unseen presence. In the basement's most isolated corner, they found an archaic altar made of cold stone. An eerie starkness in the musty gloom, candles melted down to their wicks, dried herbs and esoteric markings adorned the place. The teenagers were pulled towards it as if some invisible force was dictating their movements, their naive fascination overshadowed by an insidious fear. As the candles were lit, the basement revealed its menacing secret. Echoing through the hollows, an insidious laughter filled the room, each cackle like a razor cutting through the veil of silence. Suddenly, the teenagers could perceive languid figures swirling in the gloom, an invisible force clenched around their hearts, fear rooting them to the spot. Without a warning, a scream ripped through the room, blood-curdling and filled with unimaginable terror. Strewn across the room lay the lifeless bodies of 3 teenagers, their faces etched with eternal fright. The 4th, Sarah, sat in the middle, gaping at the horrific scene, pale as death itself. Violence was evident on the broken bodies of her friends, a chilling testament to the tangible terror in the room. Forgotten symbols smeared in blood covered the floor, a discernible sign of the entity's violence. The cold stone altar suddenly crumbled, turning into rubble under some unknown power. Sarah, paralyzed by fear, watched as the figures slowly merged together, forming the torso of the voracious entity, an inhuman figure towering over her, its innumerable eyes gleaming in the flickering candlelight. The entity, bearing its hideous form, reveled in the terror of the trembling girl, its triumphant roar echoing through the asylum's basement. Sarah's blood ran cold as she realized the harrowing truth. Her friends had been the victims of the merciless entity, asserting its dominance over the grounds it haunted. The entity had left its mark, a grotesque image of the heinous deeds that occurred in the basement, hidden under the safe veil of the crimson moonlight. It was the silent keeper of those forsaken, the voracious witness to the crimes below, ever growing, ever waiting. These chilling tales of sinister demons and haunted grounds sure give us a disturbing vision of what lurks in the dark. We hope you enjoyed these tales and they've left you just a little bit more cautious when the lights go out. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a like if the stories manage to send a shiver down your spine. Thanks for joining us today. We hope to see you again for more haunting tales to keep you up at night. Until then, sweet dreams.